Public tantrums, posing for the camera, and upstaging the Queen at her own Jubilee. These royal tots just can't seem to stop stealing the spotlight. King Charles III, then a prince, and Princess Diana famously took a young Prince William to Australia in 1983. Royal children had not accompanied their parents on such tours before, with Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip notably leaving their children behind for weeks at a time. 3 decades later, Prince William and Kate Middleton embarked on their royal tour of Australia and New Zealand in 2014. Just like his mother before him, Prince William brought a young Prince George on the trip. It goes without saying that George stole the spotlight away from his parents, and several standout moments were caught on camera. For instance, the little royal was presented with a stuffed animal toy, which he immediately threw to the floor. According to Vanity Fair, William responded by joking, "He does love it, honestly."
It's nice that people want to see George, so I'm just glad he wasn't screaming his head off the whole way through.
It's rare for Prince William and Princess Catherine to focus their attention on just one of their 3 children. As such, the 2022 Commonwealth Games presented a special moment for the couple's daughter, Princess Charlotte, as her brothers weren't in attendance. Charlotte quickly stole the show with her expressive faces, engaged attitude, and obvious excitement for the game at hand. Watching the swimming, hockey, and gymnastics events, Charlotte was spotted pulling at her braids, making funny faces, and talking with her mum. The pictures quickly circulated online, and royal watchers adored seeing the young princess so engaged. After the event, William and Kate took to Instagram to thank everyone for a wonderful event. Comments on the post were quick to highlight Charlotte's attendance. One Instagram user wrote, "It was such a wonderful day. I loved every second, and what a treat for Princess Charlotte." Prince Louis, the youngest of Kate and William's children, has been stealing the show since he was an infant with his hilarious facial expressions and feisty personality. One of the earliest public sightings of Louis and his meme-worthy mannerisms came in 2019. Louis joined his mum and dad and siblings Charlotte and George at a charity polo event, where he was also spotted spending time with Meghan Markle, Prince Harry and baby Archie. Louis quickly stole the focus away from the polo match by posing in a cool pair of sunglasses. Despite being just a toddler at the time, Louis started parading around the Billing Bear Polo Club, looking like he owned the place. Royal watchers quickly took notice of Kate and William's youngest son. Waggling his tongue around and marching to the beat of his own drum, Louis stole the spotlight from literally everyone else in attendance, despite the high-profile royals in his company. The 2019 event marked one of the first times the young prince's hilarious personality hit the headlines, but it certainly wouldn't be the last. One of the first events most royal children attend is Trooping the Colour, where an appearance on the balcony of Buckingham Palace is required. During the late Queen Elizabeth II's reign, the famed balcony appearance marked one of Prince George's earliest standout moments. In 2015, George was just 22 months old when he appeared on the balcony for Trooping the Colour, capturing the hearts of everyone watching. Just days prior to the annual event, he was spotted looking out of a Buckingham Palace window, smiling and sticking out his tongue, already establishing his silly side with the public. On his first balcony appearance, George sat in his dad's arms and enthusiastically waved to the onlookers as they cheered. The day was made even cuter by the fact that George wore the same baby blue outfit that his father, Prince William, wore when he made his debut on the Buckingham Palace balcony in 1984.
I love my children the same way any father does, and I hope George loves me the same way any son does to his father.
It's a truth universally acknowledged that all royal children steal the show during their debut on the Buckingham Palace balcony for Trooping the Colour. In 2016, when Princess Charlotte was just 1 year old, she joined her great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, and the royal family on the balcony to celebrate the monarch's 90th birthday. To see so many generations of royals in one place was quite a sight. While the Queen was marking a huge milestone, Charlotte warmed the hearts of everyone watching. The little princess looked adorable in a pink dress, with her hair carefully pinned back with a pink bow. Perched in her mother's arms, Charlotte enthusiastically waved to the crowd as the day's celebrations were underway, clearly holding nothing back. As for her older brother, George looked like he was not having a good time, and the then 3-year-old was ready to go home. Of course, he looked adorable, and even wore the same blue and white outfit that his father, Prince William, wore in 1984 while attending Prince Harry's christening.
It's more responsibility, looking after 2 little ones.
Just like his brother and sister before him, Prince Louis made his Trooping the Colour debut on the Buckingham Palace balcony, this time in 2019. At just 12 months old, Louis was hilarious and dynamic and enthusiastically showed off his royal wave. He also revealed his grumpy face and had some hilarious interactions with his step-grandmother, Camilla Parker Bowles. At one point, Louis accidentally hit Camilla's broad hat while energetically waving, which placed him at the centre of a lot of Twitter commentary. One user commented, "Camilla was really afraid of Prince Louis's waving game." Another Twitter user joked, "Lil Prince Louis was waving so hard, he almost took Camilla's hat right off." The royal family could be seen chuckling alongside the little prince and his meme-worthy moment. When Prince Louis was born in April 2018, Kate and William's family of 4 transformed into a brood of 5. In celebration of this momentous occasion, Princess Charlotte gave the crowds the most adorable moment. Louis was born in the Lindo Wing at St Mary's Hospital in London, just like his brother and sister before him. A few hours after Louis made his debut, William left the hospital, only to return with George and Charlotte in tow, as it was time to meet their new baby brother. Charlotte wore an adorable blue dress, while George wore his school uniform, and they both held hands with their dad as they climbed up the hospital steps. In a truly adorable moment, Charlotte turned around and waved to the crowds with the charm that only a tiny princess can possess. In perhaps the cutest moment of international diplomacy, Prince George was introduced to sitting President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama in 2016. Luckily, the incredible meeting was caught on camera. Not only was the 2-year-old a little shy when meeting the president, but he just so happened to be wearing his pajamas and a tiny white robe. A spokesperson for William and Kate admitted that George got permission to forego his usual bedtime to meet the president and first lady, per time. The little prince was photographed shaking the president's hand while his dad crouched down next to him. In a sweet gesture, the president and first lady gifted George a beautiful wooden rocking horse. George was even photographed putting it to good use while the Obamas and his parents looked on. Shortly before Queen Elizabeth II passed away, the Commonwealth celebrated the monarch's Platinum Jubilee, and the royal family was out in force. Prince Louis joined his parents and siblings to watch a Jubilee pageant honouring the Queen. While Prince George and Princess Charlotte were on their best behaviour for the event, Louis could be seen pulling funny faces at his mum, tugging on her hair, climbing on her lap, and generally causing the havoc that only a 4-year-old can. In one especially sweet moment, Louis suddenly ran and plopped himself down on his grandfather King Charles's lap. Charles placed his head on Louis's shoulder in a standout display of affection. After observing the exchange, an insider told People how utterly charming that was. When you consider that he has been said to be a remote parent, to see him do that was charming. It was lovely to see his other grandfather enjoying time with him. After Princess Charlotte was born in May 2015, Prince George was taken to the hospital by Prince William. The proud dad showed up at the Lindo Wing with a little George in tow, ready to meet his new little sister. Upon arrival, it looked as though the plan was for the young prince to walk on the sidewalk with his dad and climb the steps to the hospital. But with crowds, paparazzi, and all the noise that comes with being a royal, little George was clearly spooked. In a sweet moment, William picked up his young son and carried him past the crowds. To make the moment even sweeter, William kissed George on the side of the head. Clearly bolstered by his dad's presence, George then waved to the crowd before they headed inside. William and George were even wearing matching outfits to boot. Though Prince George may not realise it, he is a social media celebrity. Many of the young prince's expressive faces have been turned into meme-worthy content, and one such event happened in 2017. Prince George was attending Trooping the Colour with his mum, dad and younger sister when he pulled a face that conveyed just how bored he was. Resting his head on his hand while leaning up against the Buckingham Palace balcony, no one could deny that the young royal was ready to call it a day. Only when he looked up at Princess Charlotte and enthusiastically waved was George looking at all chuffed to be there. As a result, his grumpy little face quickly turned into a viral sensation. To make a hilarious moment better, George managed to one-up himself just a few years later, repeating almost the same facial expression at the same event in 2019. Some of George's other moments have also gone viral, including that time he cutely posed while climbing inside a helicopter. The little prince was also compared to a football team manager during Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee, thanks to his extremely smart outfit. Since his birth, George has very much been a regular fixture on social media, and that's unlikely to change anytime soon. Any parent will admit that getting their young child to stand still or pay attention to an event that isn't tailored to them is nearly impossible. When it comes to Prince Louis, the notoriously rambunctious prince isn't exactly known for his well-behaved mannerisms, and his hilarious personality was on full display during Trooping the Colour in 2022. Louis wavered from incredibly intrigued to mind-numbingly bored throughout the day, waving at the planes one second and covering his ears and screaming the next. His siblings, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, stood beside him and kept their game faces on, but Louis seemingly didn't get the hint. Basically, Prince Louis was a whole mood, much to the chagrin of his mum, Kate Middleton.
I totally understand the frustration.
At one point during the event, Kate had to crouch down to Louis's level to get him to stop leaning so much on the Buckingham Palace balcony. Clearly not a fan of his mum's rules, Louis strolled up to Queen Elizabeth II herself, ready to jump into conversation instead of taking in the Royal Air Force display. Obviously ready to call it a day, Louis got one more wave out to the crowd before being ushered back into the palace. Without a doubt, 2022 was Prince Louis's year, and royal fans are eagerly awaiting his next cheeky appearance.